Broken Eggs Media.
Faster performance, lower bandwidth costs, proven solutions for content delivery. CashFly. Stop hosting. Start delivering.
Welcome to the Movie Guys podcast.
We are the Movie Guys.
I'm Scott.
I'm Matt.
And this is our show.
Welcome back to week 18.
We're 18, Matt. We're not tried as minors anymore. We can buy porn and cigarettes and chewing tobacco. And we can boat. And we can't have, when we
I
go...
think that you're a little confused. That's when you're 18 years old. We've actually been on...
I don't know the difference.
We've actually been on the webs for 18 weeks, which isn't quite the same length of time.
Weeks, years. You know, in certain countries, when you think...
We saw 2 movies this week. We saw Wanted with Angelina Jolie, James McAvoy, and Morgan Freeman.
And Wally.
With...
Wally.
And Eve.
Ooh.
Oh.
Eve. Yeah.
So,
I saw the movies. That's why I know these things.
Thank you for doing that this week. Normally he doesn't even go see them.
I usually don't see the movies.
We just talk about it.
Yeah.
We make stuff up half the time.
Yeah, if you've ever... Apparently these guys don't watch movies, so they wouldn't know, because they don't talk very much about the movies on the forums, Matt.
Yeah, well...
What
Nobody's
can you
perfect.
do? Nobody's perfect, and far from it, some of them.
Yeah.
Anyways.
At any rate, let's go talk
I'm not
about...
bitter.
I'm not bitter. I'm kind of bitter. Not about that, about other things, so we won't get into, because...
I'm sweet. I'm not bitter.
That was a rim shot.
Rim shot. We're
That's
only
not the
18
same-
weeks.
That's not the same thing.
Anyways,
Let's go review Wall-E. Should we do that?
Yes, let's.
Let's do. Wow. Pixar's Wall-E. It's a story about set far in the future of mankind, and we have left Earth because it's been covered in trash. And the idea is that while we're gone on these pleasure cruises, these little robots, designated Wall-E's, will clean up for us, and we'll come back and it'll be all good. And the movie centers around that character. Scott, what were your thoughts before we saw this?
Trailer for Wall-E, right after the dun 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 dun, and I saw the character of Wall-E, I was just like, oh, he's so cute and adorable. And it was a Pixar film, so like everyone else, I was excited because everybody loves a Pixar film. Ratatouille blew me away. I've always liked Bug's Life, Toy Story, Finding Nemo. They're just all great films. So I was extremely excited for this movie because Wall-E looked like a good movie in and of himself.
I think I probably fall into the category of every moviegoer on the planet when I say that I'm a huge Pixar fan. It's the only studio in Hollywood that I can think of that hasn't made a bad film yet. Now, of course, I liked some more than others, but I am always pleased when I see a Pixar film. So when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, great, another Pixar movie. I'm in, I'm sold, I didn't care what it's about. And when I finally saw the trailer with Wall-E, I was like, this thing looks cute and adorable and funny, and I'm just like, I'm stoked. So I had high expectations for seeing the film, but I tried not to let them get too high because, of course, that's when you get disappointed, when you have too high of expectations. So I tried to kind of keep an even mind going in, but I definitely was hopeful for it to be good.
All right, Wall-E, the lovable robot. Matt, what were your thoughts after seeing the movie?
I was thrilled. I loved this movie. Wall-E was so... And we talked about this before. When we saw Beowulf, we talked about this. How, like, when they do see stuff that's in CG, it's so hard to get the human element across. Like that.
Right.
And granted, it's generally when they're making human, faces and stuff. And, like, it's not in the eyes. It's not quite really there. Mm-hmm. But I was amazed at how beautiful this film looked. Because it was just stunningly beautiful. And two, how much, like, human emotion they were able to get across in these long moments of silence, really, without dialogue, and using a robot.
Right.
It was amazing.
I agree. Wall-E is just such a personable non-person.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. It's just how his eyes just kind of droop down on the sides. It's so, like, you just look at him, and it's kind of sad. He's kind of lonely, and you're rooting for him. He's kind of the underdog. You know, he's just a trash compactor, but he has a heart. You know, he's just so lovable. Wally's such a great character, and you're right. This film is absolutely beautiful. Some of the scenes with him flying around with the fire extinguisher in space, with the ship by him, and all these things going out of the fire extinguisher, and the stars, and him whirling around. It's just all so beautiful. And a lot of the inspiration for inside of the ship that they end up going to is very original. There's all kind of new robots and space stations and machines and lights and bells and whistles, and it's so original and entertaining to watch.
It's a very believable world that they put him into. And I honestly, I already said how beautiful it was, but I can't get over how incredibly detailed the folks at Pixar have gotten with their animation. The stuff on Earth, you know, some of these big sweeping shots of the city and stuff, and just absolutely spectacular.
Definitely, I agree. Now, the story, the actual story, there's so much that isn't dialogue, like you said.
There's a lot of
space, and there's a lot of movement and action of these robots, because they can't really talk, really. But they still get a story across. There's an interesting love story between Wall-E and Eve, this other robot, and it's all done without words, really.
For the most part, yeah.
So it really you Pixar is so amazing that they can do this kind of thing. You know, they're like, well, we're thinking really outside the box here, but what if we don't even have the main characters speak and have them influence other people and other robots and things? And it's just mind-boggling.
Yeah, it really was. Now I didn't go in, like I said in the intro there, I tried not to have too high of an expectation, because it's just like with M. Night Shyamalan films. You have this natural tug to compare them to everything else he's done. Same with Pixar. When you go to see a Pixar film, you have this natural draw to compare it to every other Pixar film and then judge it accordingly. That's not fair. I really feel like you should judge films based on the film as it is, as it stands. Technically, amazingly high marks, as expected from this company. They've never, ever delivered a film that didn't look spectacular. Writing was, I think, very, very, very good. The dialogue that was there and the monologuing that was there, I thought was very well done. Very accurate. They didn't waste any time or any words on anything. Entertainment value was pretty high, although because there is so much time spent without the dialogue and you're just watching Wall-E interact with his environment, it doesn't have a really high level of rewatchability for me.
And it's not something that you can just kind of turn on and kind of do while, have on the TV while you're doing your laundry or something, because there's no dialogue. You can't really follow the story. Yeah. There are definitely really great sound. Bert.
Ben Burt.
Yes.
The man.
The man.
The man. Ben Burt.
Indeed. So the sound is really good. Now, for me, the story, there's an obvious allegory, more or less, or kind of vision of the future, if you will.
Maybe where society is heading.
Right, and it's certainly a statement on society, I would say. And for me, that message went to a spot, and then the movie ended. And it didn't work for me. Something like Ratatouille, it had a societal message that just blew me away, And I think this movie was trying for something similar, but it didn't work. The same with The Incredibles for me. And I know that I'm comparing here, but for me, it makes it more of simply an entertaining film, and it relies more on the humor and etc. than the message. And I don't think the message was there this time.
I do have to point out, though, in contrast to what you're saying, in this film, the message that was there was kind of like the secondary plot. The story really focused around Wall-E and what happens to him, his little journey that he goes on and his personality, and that was what the story was about. So it didn't have a story like The Incredibles or Ratatouille, which was definitely a really strong commentary on things with good humor, good writing, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
A lot of dialogue, very dialogue and character driven. This was character driven, but Wall-E wasn't trying to make a statement. He wasn't.
Right. I don't think Wall-E was.
That was the main story.
The robot.
But there had to be something else going on in the background for the events to play out the way that they did. So I think that was the story. The social commentary was kind of the backdrop. And for me, it didn't. You said I think earlier that it didn't really give you. It didn't punch at the end, which I understand, and I would agree. It didn't have a huge punch at the end, but I think that's okay. I didn't think that detracted from this film's entertainment value or overall just greatness at all. What would you score this?
I would give this a 7. Now, like I said, the message for me, because it failed, unlike Ratatouille, because it succeeded, I think that is the separation for me from this being a really good film from a great film, like some of the other Pixar's works. I'm not saying that this is a downer for Pixar. This is a huge success for Pixar because this is so original and out of the box. But it doesn't have the same kind of entertainment value because it wasn't quite as funny. It didn't have the message as some of other Pixar's works. And it suffers for that, but it's still an achievement in and of itself.
I struggled with this a little bit because I really, really liked it. But at the same time, one of the kind of the main factors in, for me, a high score is rewatchability and overall entertainment value. Because that's a lot of times what it comes down to. I mean, you can have a film that's just spectacular, but you may never watch it again.
Right.
So what does that say? For me, this isn't a really highly rewatchable film. I'm going to give this an 8.5, however, because it's a great film. Pixar knocked one out of the park yet again. You definitely should go see this in the theater. I mean,
I agree.
Definitely see this in the theater. Also, quick mention, the short at the beginning. I honestly feel it's probably one of, if not their best one yet. It's just really, really good. If you had like paid a matinee price to get in, you're done. Like you could see that, and it was worth it. It was just a great little short.
I still think that the funniest one for me is The Bug's Life, the two men playing chess for the
that
team.
one is classic.
That's so good. And,
so good.
And Bug's Life is still one of my favorite Pixar films.
Yeah.
I think doesn't have the message, but is funny all the way through.
It's just great that this company can continue to produce such quality material.
It really does.
I'm always afraid every time there is one.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I think this is going to be great, but what if it's not?
But were you not sold on the trailer for WALL-E?
Yeah.
I mean, holy
hands
cow.
down. Like R2-D2, you met your match right there.
Right.
Like, R2-D2 could beat up WALL-E.
Yeah.
Unless he had Eve with him.
Yeah,
If he was there, R2-D2's in a little bit of trouble. Because
Right.
this chick's packing a punch, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So-
And their love story in this movie is so great. It's
It really is.
That's probably the strongest point of this movie.
Oh,
for me.
definitely. Okay, that's WALL-E, the genius Pixar flick. Let's move on to the guns blazing, curving, crazy Russian directed.
Angelina Jolie. Oh, yeah.
Wanted.
Wanted. I want.
She's wanted.
I want.
By me. Eh? Did you get that? Rim shot.
You.
Wanted. Angelina Jolie, James McAvoy, Morgan Freeman. Loosely based off the comic by Mark Millar. In this film, they are a fraternity of assassins that is looking for James McAvoy. He's brought into the fraternity to kill this rogue agent, and of course, all the action that you would expect. Directed by Timur Bavsovalikov. I can't pronounce his last name. He's Russian. Scott, what were your thoughts before seeing this film?
I have read the Wanted graphic novel, the series of 6 comic books, and I like them. I think they're good. I don't think they're amazing. They're not groundbreaking to me necessarily, but they're good. They're a good diversion for however long it takes to read it. To read the entire thing, it takes less than the movie takes. It's less than 2 hours or so. I knew that this was going to be different from the comic book just from the trailer. The fraternity's mindset was just different from Morgan Freeman, and I knew that it was going to be taking place in a more realistic tone, given the curved bullets, which aren't in the book either. But I was excited because I like all the actors involved, and the director I'd heard a lot about and wanted to see his directorial style.
I haven't read the comic book for this. Knowing that Timur directed it and having been familiar with Night Watch, such an awesome film directorially. I was really looking forward to seeing this. One, because Angelina Jolie is really, really hot, and I love her. I like James McAvoy from what I've seen him in so far. He's been really good. Morgan Freeman's great. So it looked exciting and interesting, and I was really excited to see Timur with doing an American film with like more money and like being able to kind of do what he wants to do. So for me, I was actually really stoked to see this.
From the trailer, I thought that this was going to be a stretch from the comic book, that it wasn't going to coincide very well like Sin City did. To be frank, I was wrong. It wasn't distant. It was a completely different story, different plot. If I was to see Wanted without the title being Wanted, I'd be like, it's almost like that Mark Millar comic book, but not really. I mean, it was a big departure from the source material.
Having said that, I did read a lot of stuff with Mark Millar and how he said that he was completely behind this movie. He loves this movie.
You're right.
And it is. And he even admitted it was completely different. And there are reasons if you read the comic. I haven't read the comic, but I have had a lot of my friends talk about the comic to me, and there are a lot of reasons why they would change a lot of this stuff. But I can see how they'd be like, God, this is cool, but I don't know if we can do this.
Right.
Maybe we should. What if we change this and then
Really,
maybe.
if I can see them changing simply because a lot of audiences wouldn't be ready for a movie like this. It would probably garner an NC-17 rating. It's pretty
if they
graphic.
stay true to the comic.
Yeah, it's pretty graphic with violence and with language and with sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty graphic.
Yeah, so they toned it down a lot, and it still is an R-rated film.
Yeah.
The thing that was most noticeable to me first was the directorial style by Timur Avasarov. Can't say his name. He's awesome. And the directorial style was great. It was nice and fresh. There still was a little too much shaky cam for me in some of the action sequences, but his directorial style and his flavor is awesome, and I really hope he does more American films, because giving him the money and the budget to do this stuff is just a great idea.
I too like his directorial style, and more than you had a problem with the shaky cam. There were so many action scenes in this movie that I wish were done differently. But a lot of the dialogue and some of the just the set pieces and things like that had a really great look. They were shot really well, and you really were brought into the movie. So kudos to Timur, is his name.
I believe that's how you
did
say
a really
that.
good job of telling the story, I think.
Also, I want to make a mention, and we kind of already knew this going in. Everybody likes Angelina Jolie. Like 99.9% of the populace loves Angelina Jolie, men
Yeah.
and women, because she's just a beautiful, beautiful woman. She's just oozes sex appeal, and she was great in this film, as always. Morgan Freeman, once again, he's awesome. He's always awesome.
Can't go wrong with Morgan Freeman.
Freeman's great, so he was good. And James McAvoy, who I think he shines in this movie, and I really feel like hopefully maybe it'll be this one that launches him to superstardom, but this guy's going to be huge.
Yeah.
He's great.
I agree. He's great in this movie. Now, I obviously am going to compare this a little bit with the source material because I've read it. And because it was such a departure, there were many times when I was thinking, oh man, there were so many good visuals in the comic. To see them on film would have been great. And there were glimpses of the essence of the book in this film, and they shine above the rest. Some of the action scenes were just like, you know what, you see it in the trailer a little bit when he's just like going crazy, shooting everywhere. Part of that's in the comic, and it was done really well in this film. However, there was so much that I was just yearning for it to go back to the source material, if only a little bit. I think that they concentrated too much on like the character development more than I thought was necessary, simply because I wanted this to be a pure action movie. This just a fun departure. And I found myself getting bored at times. And in the comic book, I was never, ever bored because it's frame by frame action and it's cool. And it's not real deep, but it's fun. And I was hoping for that from this movie.
I feel like, having not read the comic, it definitely makes a difference. And we're going to keep striving to do that. When anything comes based off comics and books, if we haven't both already read it, one of us will read it and one of us won't. And we'll have that two kinds of perspectives going in, which hopefully will be helpful to you guys. I haven't read the comic still. And I kind of felt, I never got bored watching this, but that could be not having read the source material. I felt like this was definitely setting up a larger story. And they've already talked to Mark Millar about a sequel, which doesn't exist. There is no sequel to the comic. It ends. But like you said, it's completely different from the comic. So they're talking about a sequel and carrying this story on further, and I can see that happening. And I for one, especially if they bring back the director from this one to do it again, I would definitely be there to see that.
About being a sequel, Mark Millar couldn't write a sequel to the movie because they're completely different. His book and the movie are completely different. He could write a sequel, but it wouldn't be a sequel to his own piece.
No, it would be a sequel just to the movie.
Right. Or if he did write a sequel to his own book, it wouldn't be anywhere close. People die that don't die, and people live that don't live, and it's just like there are characters, huge characters, just completely left out. It was just really, really different.
Not that that's necessarily a bad thing. What would you score it if you had to score it?
I'm going to give this...
Because you have to.
Because I have to. I'm going to give this movie a 5.5.
Really?
Really.
Wow.
It was a little bit better than forgettable. There were some of the action scenes that were really good, but it dragged too much for me. Some of the action scenes were just too crazy. I couldn't follow what was going on. And because it should have been a pure action movie, the storyline of the James McAvoy character and his dad didn't have any feeling for me.
Wow. I'm going to go ahead and give this an 8. I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was a lot of fun. Beautiful to watch. Performance-wise, directorially, the action scenes were great. I had a blast with this film, and I hope they do more. I really, really enjoyed it. This is a theater film. If you're gonna go see it, make sure you go check it out in the theater. Don't wait for DVD. That's my take.
I still think that you might just not know what you're missing, Matt.
That's very possible.
But-
That's always that. There's always that balance when you have written material being turned
Right.
into film.
But you can't not compare them. If you're going to
Yeah,
use
you
the
have to.
name,
You have to.
You have to
have
be able
to.
to go up against.
And that was once again, that was like one of my biggest problems with I Am Legend. Is same kind
Right.
of a situation.
Right, and the same goes for everything. If you're
Yep.
going to have a movie called 10,000 BC, it had better take place in 10,000 BC. And
You would think.
You'd think. So titles are important. And
Yes,
this could
yes,
have been
folks.
titled something different, and I might have even liked it more.
It's a possibility.
Who knows? But I don't think so. I think I tried to separate them from the beginning.
Yeah,
And
it's tough to do though. It's tough
Yeah.
to do. Let's move on and talk a little bit about some trailers this week.
Ooh,
Is that okay with you?
trailers?
Trailers.
I like trailers, Matt.
I sort of like them. Who am I kidding? I love them.
I love trailers.
love 'em.
Gosh, I love trailers.
What was that?
I just made it up.
Wow.
I do that a lot.
Kind of was scary. Frightened
Work
me.
60% of the time, every time.
Yay! I have a couple interesting things to show you. 3 to show. I want to talk about. First one I want to talk about is the new Shia the Buff,
Eagle Eye.
Eagle Eye. Now we're not going to show this one. Scott, you kind of wanted to show this. Stop doing the eagle thing.
It's Eagle Eye, Matt. It's a story, obviously, about the Native Americans. No, I have nowhere to go with that. It's about Shia LaBeouf, and it's about a government agent,
Yes.
or something.
It looks like Enemy of the State kind of mixed with the Bourne movies.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen, there's a teaser up. Now there's a full trailer up. We're not going to show it because
We're sold from the first one.
I'm already sold. If you want to go see it, check it out online.
Yeah.
We also should talk about this first one I want to show is Bolt by Walt Disney Pictures, a new animated film by them. We cut this trailer a little bit.
It's very long.
It's
very
a long trailer. It's a good trailer, but it shows more than you need for it to show.
There are laughs
As
that you
always.
can have in this trailer that you should save for your movie-going
Save
experience.
it for your movie-going experience. So check this out. This is Bolt.
Hello?
Penny, I don't have much time.
Daddy? I don't understand.
It's okay, Penny. You have Bolt.
I've altered him. He can protect you now.
Bolt, speak.
Get that dog!
Nice move.
You'll never see Penny again!
And cut.
He's the star of the biggest show in Hollywood.
She's still in danger!
The only problem is,
Hold on, Penny!
he thinks it's all real.
Don't let him out! He's never been off the set before! I'm coming, Penny!
Production of the hit television show Bolt shut down today when its star dog went missing.
You look familiar.
What? Yeah, he's real good with the faces and such.
I gotta remember, it's gonna kill me. Hold on. No, I don't know. I thought I knew.
I need someone close to the green-eyed man. A cat.
Wow, it's a good knot. Were you in the Navy?
Well, I'll release you, cat. When we find Penny.
Slow down! You're scraping the fur off my...
He must be so scared.
Bolt's not scared of anything.
You're Bolt, the super dog! Where's Penny? She was kidnapped by the green-eyed man, but I've captured this cat.
You're crazy, man!
She's taking me to Penny.
I can be a valuable addition to your team.
The road will be rough.
I have a ball.
Easy won't be part of the equation.
Promise.
Danger at every turn.
I eat danger for breakfast.
You hungry? Starving!
Bolt.
Kablam! Let it begin! Let it begin!
What do you think?
Disney's doing another straight comedy. I don't mind that they're not doing a touching Pixar film. I think it's good that
Yeah.
they do a comedy every once in a while.
And this one looks good. This is going to be touching. You know, the
I
lost
think
dog and...
I think it is too. I think it's an interesting story. Watching the first part of it, you're like, oh, this looks kind of cool, kind of like a
Like, what is this? Superhero dog?
yeah. And then it turns on
And you're like,
turns on
ah,
its head, and you're like, oh,
okay.
this could actually be pretty cool. It's an original idea.
And once again, you know, we didn't show you the whole trailer because really, we showed you what we feel is like necessary for you to decide whether you want to see this film or not. If you want to see the whole trailer, by all means, go online and check out the whole trailer, or you know, go see Wall-E and you'll see the trailer.
Yeah.
But this is enough.
No, that's enough.
enough.
And it looks good. I'm excited to see it. Yeah.
Now let's take a look at. We did cut this down as well a little bit. Guy Ritchie's return with Rock and Rolla.
troubled rock star, Johnny Quid, is
missing, assumed dead.
Johnny?
If he's dead, that's the third time this year.
I'm dead, Pete. Dead people don't like company.
Who's got that painting? One name.
Johnny Quid.
How can a dead man sell you a painting? That's a nice painting, Yuri.
It's a very rare and expensive painting.
Take it for a walk. Maybe it will give you luck.
Pete, where's the painting?
Archie, I've been robbed.
That's his favourite painting. His lucky painting.
The area covers 12 acres, and it will become one of London's premier residences.
You gotta watch yourself with this lot. Times are changing. They ain't no respecters of the old school.
What's it going to cost me?
7 million euros.
I need another 7 million euros.
7 million.
It's a little bit heavier than it looks on a calculator, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, where is it? Look at that, we can make a team.
They call a real
Rock and roller.
Rock and roller?
Rock and roller.
rock and roller.
Scary, ain't he? You'll never sing the same if your teeth ain't chipmunk.
I'm a big Guy Ritchie fan, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't see his movie with Madonna, Swept Away or whatever the heck it was called. I heard it was bad, so I didn't see it. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, both spectacular, and it looks like, fingers crossed, this could be his return to form.
As always with a cast like this, Tom Wilkinson and Thandie Newton and all these other
Gerard Butler,
Chris Bridges. You see these
Luda.
people and you think to yourself that, you know what, this must be a good script if these guys are attached to it. You'd think.
Usually that's the case.
Yes.
But it's Guy Ritchie, and so you're pretty much gonna have to make the bet that this is gonna totally kick ass.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. Looks like a good movie, and I'm excited. It looks funny. It looks like it has action. It looks like it's going to be new and original, which is always the best.
So as that comes out, we'll give you more info as we hear about it.
Speaking of original, I don't think I've seen anything like this, Matt.
I know I haven't, and I'm glad that I've seen it.
Yes.
This is a little project that Joss Whedon, the man, is putting together. It's going to be in 3 parts. It's 3 10-minute parts. It's going to be on the interwebs, and it's called. You remember what it's called?
Dr. Horrible's Sing-Along Blog.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
I want to tell you who's in it, but I don't want to ruin it.
Yes.
Check this out.
For every day, there is a night. For every world, there is an underworld. And for every hero, there's this guy.
What?
So that's, coming along.
Joss Whedon.
I mean,
the NPH. Nathan Fillion.
I mean, this is
What's not to love?
a man after my own heart. This looks funny. It looks good. Give us a little. What is this about, Matt? What is this going on here?
All I really know about this is the NPH, Neil Patrick Harris, is this like kind of crappy supervillain, and he's just really
Dr. Horrible, I assume.
He's just really mad about how Nathan Fillion, superhero character, is always beating him up, and it's Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Like this should be. We'll let you know when this actually is ready to air, but it should be coming up here pretty soon. And I can't wait for one.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be funny. We can't help it.
Gotta love Joss. Yeah. There's something else that we should probably discuss really quickly.
Tell me what that is,
do you know
because
where
you
I'm
think
at?
of so many things that I don't think of. That it's just like, one minute you're thinking about dogs, and I'm thinking about ballerinas, and then you're thinking about ballerinas, and I'm thinking about teacups. I mean, there's no parallel to our minds, Matt. You gotta just
we're
give
like
me a
on
little slack here.
different. Not even on different pages. We're like in different books.
In different libraries.
You're like in a coloring book. And I'm like
pop-up book.
Yeah.
Color, pastels.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. And I'm over here reading the Canterbury Tales, and you're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm reading." And you're like,
Canter.
"Can I color in that?"
Canter.
And I'm like, "No, it's a
Where are
first
the pictures?
edition."
Where are the pictures? I mean, how do you tell a story without visuals? So I'm the movie guy, right?
Is that why?
Yeah.
Can we talk about DVDs? Would you mind doing that? I mean, if it's a problem, we don't have to do it.
No, I mean, if you're gonna bash movies, if you don't like visuals with your stories, man, I mean, fine, why even do a movie guys podcast? Why would we do DVDs?
It's hot.
I get it.
I'm sorry, I didn't know what you were saying.
Oh, I'm just
stop listening.
I'm just joshing you, right?
Stop joshing me. Let's talk about DVDs.
Let's. All right, this week on DVDs, to start off we have City of Men,
the sequel to City of God.
Yes,
very highly acclaimed film. I haven't seen the sequel yet. I'm looking forward to.
We didn't get it in our town for very long.
Imagine that.
Yeah, believe it or
Who
not.
would think that?
We also have Meet the Browns.
Tyler Perry, I believe. Yes.
I believe so.
I think
yes.
so. Hope so.
We didn't see it.
Don't look like fools to the Tyler Perry audience.
Let us know if it was any good, because a lot of people rave about Tyler Perry. He has his own show and things. What I've seen hasn't really
done anything
garnered to my tastes, but
not to say it's bad, but doesn't really appeal.
I don't
to
think
either
it's
of us.
for me in my demographic, anyways. But
You know what is in my demographic? Natalie Portman, who was
She's
in
certainly
My
in
Blueberry Nights.
My
which
Blueberry
comes out
Nights
this week.
This has a good cast.
Great cast.
Rochelle Wise.
Rachel Weisz.
Yes.
Rochelle?
I'm sorry.
She changed her name.
Yeah.
That's what he calls her when he's in France.
Exactly. And a couple of other big names. Story about somebody traveling across the country to find love. Seemed very interesting. So might want to check that out on DVD for a good date movie.
We also have Vantage Point, which did we review that on the show?
We saw that in our
hiatus.
No. We saw this on episode 1A.
Oh, our test episode.
Our test episode.
And no one has seen.
Dun, dun,
we
dun,
released
dun.
them all on DVD. Maybe we'll release the test episode for your viewing
Exactly. But
pleasure.
we did see Vantage Point and last week's Charlie Bartlett, which came out on DVDs.
Yeah.
Worth mentioning.
Vantage Point.
I liked it. Some people got tired of it by the end. I thought it was it was good, but the ending didn't pay off.
Yeah,
Everything but
that's-
the ending was good.
That's the most important thing. In those kinds of movies, I think you said this in the review. In these kinds of movies, when the reveal is done, you should be like, oh. Instead, you're like, duh. You know,
Yeah,
like
you showed it 7
kidding.
times.
Yeah, we knew what was going on.
Right.
Not exactly executed very well. We also had War Inc. with John Cusack, the not really a sequel to Grosse Point Blank, even though just about everybody
And
from that
Joan
movie.
Cusack and
Of course, Dan Aykroyd.
Indeed. But Hilary Duff playing a Russian, some hot Russian chick, which is fine by me.
I'm down with that. I have no problems with
Hilary
her playing
Duff. God
anybody.
bless you playing any foreign
Sure hot.
girl who's
You're
hot.
hot.
Yes, indeed.
And last but not least, well, maybe least,
Drill Bit Taylor.
I wish I was as good as School of Rock, but I wasn't.
Right. It's pretty much super bad kids when they were young, and they hired.
Yeah. It's like they went back in
Wilson.
time and grabbed their younger selves and put them in this movie. 'cause
There was, yes.
it's pretty much the same exact characters.
Exactly. There was a shiny cameo by Jane, though, so you gotta love it for
There
that.
was, and that absolutely totally made that movie totally. And also,
Totally.
totally. And the Swollen Members were on that soundtrack, which is really awesome because they're a great hip hop group. I want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart right now, Scott. And I don't know, are you okay with that? Do you mind if I?
You know what? Express yourself, man.
Can I use interpretive dance?
I would appreciate it.
Excellent.
Later. What are you thinking about?
I was kind of just thinking about news.
And rumors?
Yeah. Can we do that now?
I'm down.
Like Charlie Brown. Downtown Charlie Brown.
Oh, wow, Matt.
Oh.
You and your references.
Hey.
Posters, Matt. I love them. Oftentimes, I love them more than trailers.
I know what you mean, Scott.
Yes.
Let's take a look at a couple, shall we?
Yes, let's.
This first one here is for The Day the Earth Stood Still.
This remake of the 1950s film of the same name will star Keanu Reeves.
Yes, and we're gonna get a look at the trailer for the first time in front of Hancock next week, so that should be interesting.
That looks exciting. Check out this interesting poster for Saw 5.
Ooh.
Saw 5. A little bit creepy.
The perennial horror porn torture
torture
films.
porn, yeah. As much as I don't like horror films, I think that the Saw franchise is actually entertaining. It kind of keeps you guessing, and there's more than just the gore and like creepiness.
If it was just
you're kind of
the gore,
figuring it out as well.
Yeah, if it was just the gore, I wouldn't be a fan at all. But because there is some depth to them.
Yeah, and it's interesting and kind of twisty and.
Yeah, you never know exactly what's gonna happen.
Right.
Unless you do, and then you're just a jerk.
Yeah, exactly. Or after you see it, you're like, oh yeah, I knew that was gonna happen. And you're like, oh.
Which is what some people always say.
Yeah.
I don't like those people.
Gotta
And Julie Benz is gonna be in this one, which is cool.
Yeah, Julie Benz.
I'm personally of the opinion that is Julie Benz.
You heard it here. Heard it here.
Gained a little weight.
Heard it first here, folks. That is Julie Benz. You're not fooling us, Saw people.
Haha.
Yes.
It's gonna be awesome.
Movie
That's
guys,
what happens.
one step ahead.
One
Oh
step.
yes.
Here's a frightening image.
Indeed. The poster for Quarantine, the American remake of the Spanish horror film Record.
Now, I've seen Record. Our technical director, Paul Wilson, got me to watch it. And I'm glad he did because it's a great film. It's pretty scary, pretty creepy. Me and the Stig watched it. And I'm looking forward to this American. Scott's not, though.
This isn't the kind of movie I'd watch of my own free will.
Thank goodness he doesn't get to use his own free will.
When I'm doing the Movie Guys podcast.
Thank
No,
you,
I
viewers.
will be seeing Quarantine, but I don't have to subject myself to Record beforehand.
Which is a tragedy.
Which is just fine
If you
by
haven't
me.
seen the Korean creature film The Host...
Which I haven't, given that it's scary and I don't like things.
It's actually pretty funny.
It had better be if
it's
I'm going
pretty
to watch it.
It's a good film. It's getting a sequel.
Really?
Yeah.
So they better watch. I had better watch the first host first.
I would.
Her first host soon.
The Host. Yeah, you got it.
I've been having
You
a good
got it.
time talking today. I
Must have been those great movies we saw. Just kind of flabbergasted you. No, I'm coughing.
Perhaps.
Perhaps. Chris Carter.
Of the Minnesota Vikings, now a host of He Talks on Football.
I think what we're referring to there is the Chris Carter of X-Files fame.
Oh, well, he's already started working on his next project entitled Fence Walker. It will be his first directorial effort outside of the X-Files franchise.
Interesting. That should be interesting. It's going to star the lovely Natalie Dormer, who, pretty lovely, and also Katie Cassidy, who's
not too bad looking herself.
And also the awesome Exhibit, who's very much a rapper.
Yes, indeed.
And an actor.
It will not be at all supernatural. More of an autobiographical coming-of-age story.
Yeah.
Like Kung Fu Panda, which happens to be getting a sequel. Isn't it? You kind of saw this coming, though.
I think we probably...
I mean, it's going to be successful.
And I'm not mad, because really, the first one was really, really good. So
it was good.
Well, I kind of hope they don't just jump on, like, let's do another and go bigger and better and make it... And then it's kind of suck.
And then he has to take on, like, the world.
And it's like, straight to DVD.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Like, have you noticed that everything we've been talking about
I was just going to say that.
Sequels
and remakes. Everything is. Everything in the news so far. Sequel or remake.
Well, let's get off that train of thought. Yeah. 300 is getting a sequel.
Which is...
What? Is it going to be 301 Dalmatians?
It should be called One. Because they got the dude with the patch from Lord of the Rings, and he's the last one.
Yeah.
It could be called One.
It should be a buddy film about the one left and the guy who's like...
Yeah. And they go to fight crime in the big city.
Exactly. It's like 2 Spartans in Manhattan.
Perfect.
That's what it should be.
I'm there.
I'm totally
300
there.
sequel, really?
I don't see where this could go. Is it going to... I don't know. It's
whatever.
The coolness has already been shown.
I think so. Now it looks like the awesome director Louis Leterrier,
LL,
the Hulk director, of course. Ooh. He's going to be helming the remake of Clash of the Titans,
based off of a script by Raiders of the Lost Ark writer Lawrence Kasdan.
Awesome. I mean, this is actually one of the movies that I'm kind of looking forward to having a remake done, because when they first made this way back in the 50s, obviously they didn't have the technology to pull this off.
Right.
They used stop motion animation, and now we have the technology to do it. So this is one film that was cool and now could be really cool with an update. So
as we see with the CG, humans are really tough to make. We saw that with Beowulf, that it just doesn't quite work. But with these big monsters, Cloverfield and all these kinds of things, they look great. So I'm excited for this movie as well.
Absolutely. So the upcoming awesomeness that will be My Name is Earl. I'm sorry, my name is Earl.
My name is Earl.
My name is Bruce. I apologize.
My name is Bruce.
Some people thought this kind of had fallen by the wayside, but it hasn't.
In fact, the filmmakers were given more money and have done a second shoot.
Which means, thankfully, that it's probably going to open much wider to a much wider release. It means we'll get it in the theaters, which is going to be awesome.
Very
now,
cool.
this stars Bruce Campbell, the awesome Bruce Campbell, also directed by Bruce Campbell, and he plays himself. And he goes to this like small town to help them fight off this Chinese demon, this ancient Chinese demon. The funny part is, there really is a Chinese demon, and he really is just an actor. So like, think the Three Amigos, but with a Chinese demon and Bruce Campbell. And you're going to be along the same lines.
It's almost like JCVD.
A little bit, yeah.
Like, that'd be great.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah, that's this is going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to this. They're actually talking a sequel already, and it would be My Name Is Still Bruce, which is genius.
Which is perfect.
Yeah.
Like,
Bruce Campbell, you are the man.
God bless you, sir. In the news around the interwebs, Twitter.com is getting more and more popular.
Ever since we started using it a couple weeks back,
Exactly.
It seems like it's just blown up. I think everybody took their cue from us.
Now they're having like
Why wouldn't
presidential debates over Twitter and all kinds of things.
But most importantly, you can go and subscribe to our Twitters, and Scott and I each have our own separate one, as well as the Movie Guys podcast as a whole has one. You can get updates on your cell phone. You can, and I promise I won't update you at 3 in the morning. Well, I
saying
might.
that, I just like woke
I just
up.
had Taco Bell.
Right.
You know what that
I just
means.
woke up on the freeway. Like, it's 3 a.m., man. I don't really care. That happens every weekend. But no, you can actually even turn these things off during certain hours so you don't get text messages. But it's cool. You can get them on your phone, kind of
follow what's going on with us individually in our lives, and not that anybody really should care.
Right.
But if you do,
if you want to stalk anybody,
this is the way to do
get
it.
their Twitter
Get
account
some
on your cell
distance.
phone.
Yes, it's pretty good. We like it.
Right.
So definitely go check that out at twitter.com. Also, we should talk about our phone number that I didn't put on the screen last time.
Right.
Yay.
We forgive you, Matt. At least someone should.
Thanks, Scott.
Yeah.
If not you, then you.
Yes, maybe. No problem. Here it is. Matt, don't forget this one.
He even gestured for me to remember.
Yes, please remember. No, check it out. You can listen to us on your phone. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, if you can't get to your computer, you don't have a mobile device like a Zune or an iPod or whatever. That's another way to get some good old Movie Guy podcast goodness for you every week.
Matt. Goodness.
You like the goodness.
Goodness, Movie Guys.
You know you love the
We're the
goodness.
Movie Guys. They've been watching the Movie Guys podcast, these people.
Yes, they have. Thanks, viewers. Well, I'm out of tea, which means the episode's over.
That's what it means. We had like 3 other movies to review and like a whole bunch more news. And
I keep telling you, we need to get like a tea girl that can bring me tea while we're shooting, and this won't have to happen anymore.
You just need more tea bags. Anyways, the show has come and it's going
away from you until next week.
Next week
on the Movie Guys podcast.
Minutes, 525,000 moments, oh dear. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee, in inches, in miles, in laughter and strife. In 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year in the life? How about love? How about love? How about love?
surprise you. I was gonna surprise you.
I
honestly,
am surprised.
That was a stand-in.
I'm surprised.
But it looks like a good time.
It always does.
It always does. Never
always
fails.
does. Never.
God bless us.
what should we-
Everyone. Right.
Wow.
I think that's William Shakespeare's. I don't know. Romeo Must Die. I'm sorry.
I can't even not laugh at that. I tried, folks, but I couldn't do it.
What can you do, Jet Li? Anyways, we hope you had a good time here at the Movie Guys podcast.
Awkward silence.
We had a good time.
I always have a good time.
I always have a good time.
Just
the three of us. You and I.
And him.
Yes, indeed.
The Stig is behind the camera this evening, doing work. 3-man crew today. Three-man chew. That's It's different.
It's the same.
It's close. You're right.
What can you do?
Wow.
Our
What do we
play
got-
on words.
What do we got next week? We got Hancock next week.
Next week, it's Herbie Hancock.
What's that from? Come on. That's an easy
Oh, come
one.
on.
Come
yeah.
on.
That's easy.
Easy one.
That's an easy
That
one.
wasn't easy. You threw him a bone. Throw me a freaking bone, people.
What's that from?
I don't know. I haven't seen that movie
I've
before.
never seen it.
I made it up.
Really?
I wrote that line.
That's cool. Good job, Matt.
Bet you didn't know that.
Good job.
What's up? We got Hancock. Is there anything else next week?
Kit Kittredge, an American Girl. It's a limited release, but it's
Dude.
worldwide.
I hope we get to see it.
Yeah, it's from your favorite, Abigail Breslin from Nim's Island.
Yes! That girl can't make a bad movie.
Here. Which reminds us that this is week 18.
Yes, you've been watching the Movie Guys podcast.
Episode 18. The Garstrand Hammer.
That was such a great outro.
I have no idea what it was. It's the
We're going to have to cut and start over. You've been watching the Movie Guys podcast?
Episode 18 by Grabthar's Hammer. Next. I'm Scott.
I'm Matt.
And remember, kids.
Hello, my name is Bruce.
Bruce? I'm God.
Da-na-na-na-na-na.